With 1 month left until March Madness and a little over a halfway point of most professional basketball leagues, the time has come for the third installment of the NBA mock draft. This list has fluctuated quite a bit from the last mock draft, and some new names will be seen. Some guys have maintained their spots as expected, and of course some guys have fallen down the board. I've been getting countless requests for a part 3 mock draft, and you guys absolutely blew up the last one, and I'm so thankful for that. It would mean the world to me if you can try and blow this video up even more than the previous one. Also, I got numerous requests about the order of the mock draft, and for this video, I'll be basing the order off of how the teams are currently doing record-wise. What's going on, guys? BucketMedia back with another video, and today I'm putting out my 2023 NBA Mock Draft 3.0 edition. Before getting started, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Fanatics. Fanatics is affiliated with the NBA in providing your team's favorite gear, whether it be jerseys, hoodies, shirts, pants, shorts, and so many more. Fanatics always has the best quality products and is the most legit place to buy your NBA gear from. Check the link in my description or pinned comment to find some exclusive on-sale deals for NBA gear up to 60% off. Also, check the link in my pinned comment or description to check out StubHub, which is the #1 place to buy or sell tickets to your favorite events, including sporting games, concerts, and more. It would mean so much also to help support my channel as well. If you have any video suggestions or requests, please drop a comment so I can put it on the list and create it. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe. It is by far the best way to support this channel and ensure you don't miss out on any great basketball content like this. Also, like and comment what you guys think about each selection I made or any other thoughts about this mock draft. With that being said, let's dive straight into the video. With the first pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the Houston Rockets selecting Victor Wembanyama. Without any surprise, Victor has maintained a spot at the #1 at the mock draft due to his sheer talent and productivity. He's arguably the greatest NBA draft prospect of all time and has everything a franchise would want from a prototypical prospect. Despite Wembanyama not making as much noise as he did earlier in the season, he's still continuing to dominate the Belgique Elite League in France and is leading the league in points at 22, rebounds at 10, and 3 blocks a game. There isn't a single player in college basketball averaging 3 blocks a game to go along with almost 2 threes a game, and the fact that Victor is doing that in a professional setting, especially in a place like Europe where players are more boxed into roles, is really separating himself even more from the pack. His talent and potential is undeniable, and it's his production that is really convincing many scouts and me that he's different from the other 7-foot unicorns we've seen in the past. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Victor's fit with the Rockets because I don't like how they play basketball down there, and I'm not sure that he'll have his talents maximized if he goes to Houston. But nevertheless, if they land the #1 pick, there's no way they pass up on him. With the second pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting Scoot Henderson of the G League Ignite. As the season is progressing, Scoot is consistently performing and leading his Ignite team as a clear #1 option for Ignite. To be quite honest, since the last mock draft, Scoot has kind of been underwhelming and not as dominant as we've seen in prior. His stats have dropped since the last mock draft, and he's currently averaging 17.7 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5.8 assists per game. But despite the minor slump he's having currently, his talents and skill is still there, and the current resume he's built up for himself over the course of his time with G League Ignite is enough to keep him at that #2 spot. This also just goes to show how much further Scoot and Victor are from the rest of the class, and I didn't even think twice about dropping him to #3. Whoever lands the #2 pick is certain to take Henderson, and Charlotte would be ecstatic to pair him up with LaMelo Ball, which could potentially be one of the better backcourts in the future of the NBA. With the third pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the San Antonio Spurs selecting Amen Thompson of Overtime Elite. As he continues to build on his current draft stock, I went back and forth on putting him at that #3 spot over who I picked at #4, but the main conclusion I came up with to keep him at that spot is simply there's no player in this draft that possesses the size, athleticism, and basketball IQ he possesses, which you can make an argument has the edge over every prospect in 2 out of those 3 categories. And when teams get a top 3 pick, especially a team like the Spurs, they're looking to pick the guy with the highest potential, and that player up to this point is Amen Thompson. On top of that, Thompson hasn't done anything to hurt his draft stock thus far, as he's currently averaging 16.4 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. My biggest question for Thompson is how his production in OTE against high schoolers translates to the NBA in just 8 months from now, where he'll be playing major minutes against professionals. The 3-point shot also hasn't been coming along that well, but I believe by the time he gets to the NBA, whichever team drafts him will put an emphasis on that and make sure he gets it together. Amen reminds me a lot of Ben Simmons in his game, but I truly believe with his work ethic and discipline, he'll be open to working on his perimeter shooting unlike Simmons and could be a threat in that area. Ultimately, the #3 spot in this draft has been more open than ever, but I came to the conclusion that between who I picked at number 3 and 4 in this draft, a developmental team like the Spurs would rather take a guy with natural abilities, athleticism, and gifts with the higher IQ than the tall wing who might be the better scorer and looks to be the safer pick. I might have just gave it away, but comment down below who you think I'm talking about. With the 4th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting Brandon Miller from the University of Alabama. If there's any player in college basketball that's had me at the edge of my seat this year, it has to be Miller. My goodness, can this guy score the life out of the ball? Coming into the college season, I set my expectations for Miller pretty low, thinking he wouldn't be athletic enough to make a major impact at this level, but man was I wrong. He came out blazing hot to start the season, being put to the test in multiple primetime games, and has shown out and scored the ball at not just a high level, but a pro level. Every year, we always see that one guy in college basketball who just flat out looks like a pro and dominates at that level. Last year was Paulo Banchero, the year before it was Cade Cunningham, and this year it's Brandon Miller by far. Since my last mock draft, he had 6 20-point performances and 3 30-point performances. Plus, when based off all his performances this season, his biggest slump came in the first 5 games of February. And even during the slump, he's still managing to score the ball at an elite level and impact the game with his rebounding ability and defense, while helping lead his Alabama squad to 4-1 during these past 5 games. Like I mentioned before, Miller is arguably the best scorer out of anyone in this draft, and has shown he'll probably make an immediate impact at the NBA level. I wouldn't be mad at all if you chose him at number 3 over Thompson, and I think depending on who lands the 3rd pick, he might be the better pickup for that team. But if he lands on Detroit, there would be a clear spot for him to make an instant impact with their holes at the forward spot. And they play similar to how Alabama plays, so he could thrive in a role like that. My main question for Miller is his efficiency though. At times this season, he's shown that he could be inefficient and inconsistent with his play. And if he gets selected on a team who needs consistency and winning right away, it could be a detriment to his development. But if Detroit selects him, I don't see that being the case. And I think he'll have time to develop his game and grow through the mistakes. With the 5th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, I have the Orlando Magic selecting Ausar Thompson of Overtime Elite. Thompson has been picking up his production as of late, and has shown the world he isn't too far off from his brother. Throughout the season, he's steadily been producing at a higher level than he did prior, and is currently averaging 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. Ausar has also started to find his rhythm as a more consistent shooter, shooting about 40% from beyond the arc, but still has his games where he can go 0 for 5. He's also stepped it up on the defensive end, and looks more aggressive when attacking the rim than he did prior, while also showing a little bit more playmaking upside than we've seen previously. Obviously, there's a major risk when drafting one of the Thompson twins, being that they both rely heavily on their athleticism and don't have a pro scoring arsenal just yet. And being that they're both 20 years old playing against high schoolers, you wonder how the production can translate over to the next level. But nevertheless, the Thompsons have athletic gifts and positional size that scouts dream of, and passing them with a top 5 pick would be foolish, being that all they may need is a proper NBA development to be impactful players at the next level. With the 6th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, I have the Indiana Pacers selecting Cam Whitmore from Villanova University. Cam has been producing at a very high level for a winning Villanova team, and has had some big time performances since last mock. It's very impressive to see that he's able to make such an immediate impact at a school like Villanova, who usually doesn't play freshmen, and being that he missed the beginning of the season and missed 2 years of high school basketball, so he definitely has a lot more untapped potential than most prospects. Whitmore's stats won't blow you away, but when you watch him in action, you wouldn't be able to tell that he's one of the youngest players in college basketball, and he's only a freshman. He has pro size and athleticism already, and can score the ball from all 3 levels. My biggest concern for Cam coming into college was his shot, being that he relied mostly on his athleticism in his play over the summer, but he quickly showed that it wasn't a problem, shooting 36% from beyond the arc so far into the season. Cam also plays with a ridiculously high motor, and makes all the hustle plays you would need from a player. Right now, Cam is only averaging 12 points and 5 rebounds a game, but like I mentioned before, his impact goes way beyond the stat sheet, and he's one of those players that I feel will perform better in a pro setting. Cam would also be a great piece to add to almost any NBA team, but specifically for the Pacers, he fits perfectly with their up-tempo offense, and the fact that he doesn't need the ball in every play makes him so much more valuable to teams considering drafting him. With the 7th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, I have the Portland Trailblazers selecting Keontae George from Baylor University. George has been playing at an outstanding rate, and has been scoring the ball how he usually does, but at a more consistent rate, which is always a positive in my eyes. George not only has a pro scoring arsenal already, but he also has shown the ability to be the it factor and take over games in a tough Big 12 conference. Keontae scores the ball at all 3 levels, and is able to do so in a multitude of ways, and has improved his defense and playmaking ability from earlier in the season. Being a young freshman on a veteran Baylor team isn't easy, but what's even harder is to take a leadership role like Keontae has, and he's been playing major minutes for Baylor, and is a big part why they currently have a winning record. Obviously, the shooting efficiencies are the main knock on his game, but being that he's taking some tough shots in a strong college setting, it's something I think we should let slide, and won't be that big of a problem in the NBA. Keontae seems like a good fit in Portland with their relatively young group, and although it seems like the Blazers are hesitant to trade Lillard away, I think it's only a matter of time until he's out of Portland, and then Keontae will be a part of a fresh rebuild in Portland. I think his upside is on the higher end of lottery picks selected, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in and averages around 15 points a game as a rookie. With the 8th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the Orlando Magic via the Chicago Bulls selecting Nick Smith Jr. from the University of Arkansas. It's been a rough couple of months for Nick Smith, being that he hasn't had the chance to play at all due to his injury. Smith recently returned from a 2-month hiatus and had played in Arkansas's past 2 games, where he played 17 minutes in his post-injury debut and shot 25% from the field and 3, and only posted 5 points, and the next game only played 5 minutes. Smith's stats throughout the season have been pretty underwhelming, but overall, he's been looking pretty sluggish and not as quick as he did in high school. But I won't hold that against him because Arkansas has clearly been trying to get Smith back when he should be resting and probably needs to shut it down for the season. I'm sure most of Nick's ability is still there, but he needs more time to recover from his injury. If I'm a team with the 7th pick or below, I'm definitely considering taking him. He's still a top 5 talent, but just needs the time to get back into rhythm and fully recover from his injury. Getting drafted to a team like Orlando is perfect for Nick because he's under no pressure to get on the court and compete right away, and he'll have time to develop his game and be a key piece for the Magic when the time comes. With the 9th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the New Orleans Pelicans via the Los Angeles Lakers selecting Jarace Walker from Houston University. This is the first time Jarace has been featured in one of my mock drafts, but he's always been in the corner of my eye when selecting who should be put in the lottery. Jarace has all the tools needed to make an instant impact at the next level. He's definitely one of the more intriguing prospects in this draft class. I've been following Jarace Walker since high school. When he initially committed to Houston, I was pretty confused as to why he picked them out of all schools he could have gone to, but it's paid off big time, and his fit with Houston is almost carved perfectly. There are a number of things I love about Walker's game, but first has to be his versatility. Walker can play all 5 positions and guard all 5 positions with his athleticism and quickness. Houston loves to put Jarace in a number of different spots on the floor, and he always knows how to make the right plays wherever he is, which also goes to show how good his IQ for the game it really is. Initially, my struggle with Jarace was with his skill set. I thought he was more of a raw prospect, but since he has shown on a number of occasions he's capable of creating for himself both on the perimeter and in the post, off the dribble or off the catch, that narrative is pretty much over with. But the number one thing by far that intrigues me about Jarace is his impact for winning while not being the primary option. Walker has been playing major minutes for arguably the best team in college basketball against a tough schedule and has been making an impact all around the court. With the 10th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the Toronto Raptors selecting Jett Howard from Michigan University. This is Howard's only appearance on one of my mock drafts, and that'll probably be the last time you hear me say that, because Howard has shown so much upside and production so quickly in his college basketball career. His quick breakout on the college basketball scene was a lot to digest at first. His lack of efficiency and subpar competition played against in the beginning of the season made me second guess if he was really a lottery talent. Plus, I thought he was just an elite shooter, but as we've headed into conference play, he really turned the Jets on, no pun intended. The first thing that sticks out about Howard is his positional size and skill set. Jett is a legit 6'8" guard with a strong frame, who can create shots for himself anywhere on the floor, and his shifty ball handling ability has been pretty impressive to say the least. Jett didn't show much of his tight handle and off-the-dribble shooting during the beginning of the season, but now as he's doing it more frequently, you'd expect his efficiency to drop, but instead, it's actually been going up, minus a few inconsistent performances. Howard has also shown he can be a plug-and-play playmaker instead of a point guard who needs the ball in his hands to get his teammates involved. Jett has a pro skill set already and can help make an instant impact on the Raptors, while not being under immense pressure to do so right away. With the 11th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the Washington Wizards selecting Anthony Black from the University of Arkansas. Black is a very intriguing prospect who I think definitely can make his mark in the NBA. From a physical standpoint, he has a lot of what NBA teams want, being a 6'7", silky smooth point guard, but his scoring inconsistencies have been a real question for me. There's no question what Black can do as a primary playmaker, and he showed that throughout the season, being the starting point guard on arguably one of the most talented college basketball teams. But guards who aren't a threat to score have a really tough time in the NBA, and opposing defenses could have no problem sagging off of a guy like Black, knowing he isn't a threat to score. Just a couple of weeks ago, Black had a really impressive performance where he dropped 23 points and posted 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals to go along with great efficiencies, but there were only so many times Black had performances like that. So because of his consistency, I'm not sure if he's really a lock at top 10. Shooting also hasn't been too good overall when he does shoot. There's a really small sample size for that due to the lack of 3-point shots he actually takes. He's also getting outplayed by most of his peers, but regardless, if I'm a team out of the top 10, I'm more than willing to bet on Black's potential, and with the right development, he could be a serious problem in the league. With the 12th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder selecting Grady Dick from Kansas University. Grady is another freshman who's been playing major minutes for one of the best teams in college basketball, and is one of the best shooters in college basketball as well. He has NBA size at 6'8" and has shown multiple occasions this season not only that he can sit back and take a role, but he can dominate the game and take over when needed. He did that very recently by putting on a 26-point masterclass against Oklahoma State in a tough win where he displayed not only that he's one of the best shooters in college, but he has the ability to score in the paint with his mid-ranges and slashes to the basket. While his stats have fluctuated, his efficiencies haven't, which make him even more intriguing to NBA teams. Guys like Grady often get underappreciated due to the narrative that he's just a shooter, but I can see him in a Klay Thompson role, especially for the team where I have him getting drafted to. OKC is a team that's looking to compete in the playoffs as soon as next season, and a guy like Grady would be a perfect complement to Shea and Giddey, giving them another floor spacer with versatility and potential to expand his game. Grady is a guy that every NBA team would love to have, and due to his production thus far, he's likely to stay mocked in the lottery. With the 13th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the Utah Jazz selecting Maxwell Lewis from Pepperdine University. The mid-major machine himself, Lewis, has played himself into the lottery with some stellar performances this year, along with his positional size. Last year, we saw Jalen Williams make the jump into becoming a lottery talent late into the college season, and the same looks to be true with Lewis as well. He has the all-around game, scoring at all 3 levels, both off the catch and off the dribble, to translate at the NBA level, and moves very well for his size, being a 6'7" guard. He's arguably one of the best scorers in the draft, who's been shooting the ball at a pretty efficient rate, and has a lot of untapped potential that I think we'll get to see in the NBA. But although Maxwell is shown to be an NBA talent, there are still some concerns for him. The first thing has to be the level of competition he's playing against. Although Maxwell has been averaging 18 points and 6 rebounds a game, it's been for the most part against subpar competition, minus the 2 high major games he played against UCLA and Gonzaga. When faced up against Gonzaga, he showed out going for 20 points off great efficiency, but still losing the game. Against UCLA, he dropped 10 points and 4 turnovers while his team lost by 50. For a guy projected to go in the lottery, you'd expect a certain level of it factor to them, and despite playing against lower competition overall, Maxwell hasn't shown the ability to lead his team to wins against mid-majors, but despite that, I'm still betting on his long-term upside in the NBA, and I see a lot of Devin Vassell in his game. Plus, being drafted to a team like Utah will give him more time to develop his game. Finally, with the 14th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, I have the Golden State Warriors selecting Gigi Jackson from South Carolina University. There's a lot to love from the youngest prospect eligible for this year's draft, being that he's shown he can impact the game already, even though he just turned 18 years old. Currently, Gigi is averaging 15 points and 6 rebounds a game, playing on the wing and perimeter as a shot creator, and has even had multiple 30-point performances this season. But despite all this potential, there is still some reasonable concern with Gigi. The first has to do with him buying or even having the ability to play in a team setting. This year at South Carolina, he's the only option and everything is run through him. But at the next level, it won't be like that, and he's going to have to be a role player at times, especially on a team like the Warriors. Even when Gigi is the primary option, he isn't efficient doing so, shooting 38% from the field and 33% from 3. There's also some concern with his maturity and attitude with a recent incident on Instagram Live after a loss to Arkansas where he called out his coach for not giving him the ball in crunch time. Regardless, the talent is still undeniable, and he's still very, very young, so maturity should be fixed up with time. And regardless of Gigi not being an ideal fit for Golden State, it would be foolish to pass up on a player of his talent and upside. It was a pretty close call between a few guys, so I wanted to give a quick shout out to the players who were close to making the cut, like Cason Wallace, Chris Murray, Noah Clowney, Taylor Hendricks, and Ryan Rupert. This next month and a half is probably going to be the biggest shaking point for the mock draft order, with March Madness approaching and pro leagues getting into postseason play. So stay tuned for Mock Draft 4.0. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end and you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. It is by far the best way to help this channel grow, and I appreciate you so much if you're a returning or new subscriber. Make sure to check the link in my pinned comment or description for the best way to buy or sell tickets to your favorite events at StubHub. Also, check the link in the pinned comment or description to check out this Fanatics store link for some exclusive deals on NBA gear before they expire and to help support this channel. Stay tuned because we have some big stuff coming soon. If you haven't already, make sure you join the Discord link in the description. Like the video and comment on any video suggestions going forward, or anything I could have done better. Also, comment on who you guys think I should have selected at which spot, and who I missed in the mock draft. Let's get a great basketball conversation started. I'll see you guys in the next video and have a blessed day. Peace.